We are live. All right.
No, two of us.
I'm sort of live. Apologies, viewers. I will not be showing you my face tonight as my internet connection has been flaky at best. I'm on a backup line, which is slow. And so my video quality would certainly be halting and poor. And I don't want to subject you to that. So, with that said, welcome to episode 211 of the Nerdstravaganza podcast, where we always know our roles. I'm High Elf Fighter Mage Tom.
I'm Fairy Princess Thief Fighter Wizard Cleric, Brian.
I'm Chaotic Neutral Drow Wizard Cam.
You would be the chaotic neutral guy. I can do anything I want. I'm chaotic neutral.
Role playing. I'm not a dick. My character is.
Yes. Apropos, given tonight's topic. And in this setting, we'll be discussing the best way to roleplay as it relates to getting into character versus wearing a character costume. But first, I'll remind our listeners that they'll never gain initiative if they fail to roll up our podcasts on iTunes on the weekly, give it loads of stars, and positive reviews. And with that bit out of the way, on to tonight's adventure. We'll kick things off and gain a little experience by reviewing the experience we gained with our weekly geekly weekly update. Brian, why don't you kill the first goblin? I'm kind of out of D&D related stuff to say.
Pretty comic-y week for me. I managed to track down two books that I had been looking for. They're not new releases, but they're like a month old or so. I got Heartthrob #1 by Boom, I think. I don't remember who makes it now. But pretty interesting comic. It's a story about a heart transplant patient and the changes, like her heart, the like sci-fi fictional magical changes that her new heart brings about in her life. That was all the rage when it released, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if Korka didn't order it, or if they didn't get enough, or if they got shorted, or what, but they didn't have it. So finally got it. Very excited about that. And Black Panther #1, that snuck out on me. Was anyone else excited or intrigued by that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Did you read it, or?
No, but I've heard it's a coup, I guess. People are buzzing about it all over.
I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name. I'm sorry. I just can't. His last name is Coates. So Coates, that writer. Everyone was really a buzz about him, and he kind of nailed it. Like, I think he's got a little bit of room to grow into, like, some of the dialogue and things like that. But his story was rock solid. I really dig what he's doing.
Awesome, man. Is it related to, inspired by, or does it have anything to do with the Black Panther character from the movies, or is it just kind of striking while the iron's hot?
Haven't seen the movie, and I know, like, this year has just been a total mess with Marvel universes, so I have no idea which version of Black Panther this is. It's T'Challa, and he's trying to, like, put the kingdom back together after his absence. So it could quite possibly be he went off to star in the movie, but I don't know.
Okay, cool. I'm kind of I'm a total poser, but I'm now interested in that character after having not known a lot about him until now.
I am absolutely sure that it coming out this month is no coincidence.
Makes sense.
And other than that, just, I finally got my lap free. The dog's been independent again, so I've been up and doing a little bit more wood working, doing a little bit more leather polishing and sanding and everything, working on some tools. Actually, I think I talked about this with you guys before. Like, it's you have to make your tools before you can make any projects. So I'm making a strop to sharpen my knives so that they're sharp enough to actually cut the things that I need to cut to make real projects, and a a slicker, which makes the edges nice instead of, looking like a dead animal.
You could have called those things grog and bunioner, and I would have believed you. But those sound like legit terms for a legit profession you're taking up.
Most people think of like Bugs Bunny when they hear strop. Remember the old barber shop scene where he was singing and like doing the knife on the piece of leather?
Oh yeah.
That's a strop.
Oh, cool. Okay. Thought it was just strap. Who knew it was strop?
Bugs Bunny.
He did indeed. Awesome, man. Sounds like a full week. Anything else?
No.
All right, Cam. What have you been? What strop have you been sharpening the blade of life on this week?
I've been stropping a lot lately. Let's see. I saw Civil War, which was, it was okay. I liked the story, but I'll say it was I didn't walk out feeling like I wasted my money, but it it definitely wasn't even in the top 5 or maybe even top 10 of the Marvel movies for me.
Better than Ant-Man?
I kind of like that Ant-Man. I have a soft spot for Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly, so. But it was okay. What else did I do? Doing a lot more reading. I finished up the second Mistborn series, Well of Ascension, and now I am on to the third, Hero of Ages. So that's going well. Let's see. I did a bunch of gaming at the Adventure Game Store, obviously, and went to Landlubbers again on Sunday for game night. I unfortunately had to go to a funeral up in Orlando, so I was up there this weekend. Of course, it was also Mother's Day, so even though it was an unhappy occasion for the funeral, it was sort of also a way for my brother and I to celebrate both Mother's Day with our mother and my brother's birthday. So happy birthday, Ray. So I was gone for most of the weekend for that. That's it. I've just been, booking trips. Origins is coming up in Ohio. I booked my trip there. Gen Con's coming up in Indiana, and at the beginning of August, booked my trip there. And my companion and I she's a teacher, so we are booking and planning our summer vacation somewhere in Europe this week for the summer. So just doing a bunch of that. Other than that, just planning I might start an RPG campaign. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. We'll see how
Nice.
that goes. Our one-off end of the world scenario RPG sort of got me back into the swing of things. I
Yes.
forgot how much I really love doing that, so I might hop back into a weekly or maybe even monthly game. Let's see.
It's fun, man. Yeah, I wish I had more time, but it definitely rekindled my interest. I haven't stopped thinking about that since we played.
Yeah, that's the killer is the time. It's like where do you find a free 6 to 8 6 hours every week where you can just sit and do that. But I guess you make time for what you like, right?
Yeah, and I happen to like a roof over my head and
Food in my fridge. Yeah.
yes. No, God, I would love to actually be able to play an RPG on a regular basis again. Like, it's enriching. Anyway, if I was in your campaign, I would just like put the Hydra to sleep and kill it and coup de grace it. So
Yeah. But yeah, that was my week.
all right, put the Hydra to sleep and coup de grace is a little insider Nerdstravaganza humor for a power gamer who just wants to win the campaign, basically,
Yeah.
right, Brian? Right, Brian? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Not at all based on a real person, but mainly based on a real person.
Truth in every lie, right?
Yes.
Ripped from real life, or the headlines, right?
Yes. Like the characters from the D&D cartoon ripped from real life and brought into the Nerdstravaganza world. No cryptic and confusing guide here, though. Just us. Dungeon Master was a dick, for the record. Like, Dungeon Master, how can we not die? The question isn't how you cannot die, but rather, like, no, Dungeon Master, just tell me. Like, you're like
Yeah.
God. Just kill
Stop,
Venger.
stop trying to be my therapist.
Right, like kill Venger and make us all arbor out of Tiamat's heads and like send us home. What are you doing? Anyway, all right, over to me. I also saw Captain America: Civil War, and yeah, again a movie that was trying to do too much in too little time. I have said it again, like these movies with all these characters could stand to be split into two. And yeah. I understand they're doing that. They're splitting the Infinity Wars saga into several movies, at least two movies. This could have been better if it was split into two, because it seemed like they rapidly ramped up to conflict. And nevertheless, people are all over this movie. They love it. And they're giving it a pass and even accolades for the very same thing Batman versus Superman did, which was pit heroes against one another, with kind of some very brief explanation as to why they're in conflict, and then it ended on kind of a down note. It ended on more of a down note, in my opinion, than Superman v. Batman, but Superman v. Batman is the worst thing ever, and this movie is like the best thing ever since the last Marvel movie. And love the Marvel movies. Didn't really hate the Superman v. Batman movie. I kind of liked it. The Marvel versus DC double standard is real, in my opinion. I'm not going to say that the Marvel movies aren't a little bit better, but again, it's a problem when it's in a DC movie. It's no problem when Marvel does it. I guess I'll leave it at that. I don't know if I want to talk about spoilers at this point. The movie's been out a couple weeks, hasn't it?
I think it was last Thursday. Yeah, yeah, about a week.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought I'm gonna come out and say it. I'm probably the only person on Earth who thinks this. I thought Batman v Superman was better. Actually, I liked it better.
I would tend to agree with you on that. Actually, yeah.
Well, we're wrong, Cam. We're wrong.
I would agree with you on that. I think it's just it's like the whole Apple thing, and people just like Marvel better than DC, or the movies anyway, and so I think they're just sort of. That bias comes into play, but I mean, I think if you look at it side by side, I think Batman vs Superman was a better movie.
Yep.
I mean, I walked out like liking it better than Civil War for sure.
Yeah, me too, and wanting to talk about it more and think about it more and see it again, so I could go over it.
Yeah. Well, and just the like passive like bystander test, I guess. My companion. Like really enjoyed Batman vs Superman, stayed awake, which she hardly ever stayed awake through the whole movie and enjoyed it, and fell asleep during Civil War. So, like I don't know if that's a scientific method to determine which movie was better, but definitely has some weight, I think.
I mean, I don't know how intense she is into these movies or how long she's been following them or how intently, but yeah, I can see why. It's a cast of characters in conflict. It's sort of, explained very quickly, and then you're supposed to, I don't know.
Yeah. I'd say she's like perfectly like right. She's like the casual fan. You know what I mean? Like she's the person you would want to get like in the survey, not like the super fan and not like the super indifferent person. Like she's like right in that middle core audience that they're trying to attract, because they already know the super fans are going to go no matter what. They just want to. It's like almost like an election. You're not going to get if you're a Republican, you're not going to get the left, and you're going to get the far right, but you're trying to get that middle ground. I'd say she fits squarely in there, and I'm pretty sure she liked that movie way better than Civil War.
I mean, I think conflict is easier to resolve between 2 or 3 people than 2 teams of people, all of whom have kind of, I mean, basically they always, I come down on this side, I come down on that side. 2 movies you could have gotten a little more into their motivations, I think.
Yeah.
Felt like a lot of cameos going on. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, for sure. And then like Scarlet Witch and Vision, I mean, they're just like so uber powerful, and they like played down. I mean, we can get into the minutia of it, but like, I mean, I understand they have to do certain things for movies and for the sake of like entertainment, but it's all, you're always going to have that whole argument too that it's such a departure from the from the comics and whatever. But
I mean, I felt like Black Panther could have had his own intro movie before this.
True. Yeah.
He's got to get his own movie now, but
he was awesome. I mean, I thought he was awesome. But,
yeah, he was really good. Anyway, it's all Civil War. So apart from that, the other thing I've been doing is interesting, probably only to me and a tiny segment of our already tiny segment of the population that is our audience. I've been doing a lot of coding exercises on HackerRank, where they just present you with coding exercise after coding exercise, and you get points for doing them. And doing a little algorithm review on Khan Academy, which is a great site for learning a number of topics or refamiliarizing yourself. Last time I visited Khan Academy, I was doing trigonometry, and now I'm doing something a little more germane to my career, which is coding. Although I've come to understand that pretty much anybody can go into technology these days. So I don't know why I'm bothering. A little more inside discussion that I won't elaborate on, but it's come to my attention somebody has joined my profession who I didn't think could join any profession. So kind of sad about that. But anyway, that's it for me. Kind of okay with Civil War. It was an okay movie, and being very spiteful and hateful about other people bettering themselves while bettering myself. And that's it. On with the show with the News Stravaganza podcast.
I will get into the news one quick second. I just, I forgot. I wanted to ask you, Tom. Brian, you didn't see Civil War, right? No. This isn't really a spoiler, but what did you think, Tom, of that? Like, they used like a new CGI effect. Did you know? Like, was it off-putting to you? Was it just like you noticed it and was like, oh, okay, that's new? Like, how did you feel when you saw it?
I was impressed by it because it's the best application of that technology I've seen. The first application I can recall was in Tron Legacy, where they did it to Jeff Bridges, and it looked kind of plasticine. But in this movie, I was kind of like, wow, that they've come a long way with that. Some people found it off-putting, but I thought I saw the improvement, I guess is what I'll say.
I didn't know how I felt about it. To me, it was like, you know when you watch someone's TV and they have that like motion capture on, and it looks just like it looks weird. You know, it looks like an old like PBS Doctor Who episode, sort of. You know what I'm saying? Like that's sort of how it felt to me. It just felt like, especially like when they're like in the running scenes when they're running really fast. You know what I mean? Like it didn't seem like if you watch like Flash. That I like that effect of how Flash runs like better than the effects that they were using.
I'm out in the weeds here, Cam. I thought you were talking about the de-aging stuff they applied to a certain actor. That's what I was saying.
No. I meant like when they were running, like when Spider-Man was like doing his act, like the Spidey sense and that kind of stuff. Like they definitely use some sort of, it's like a new CGI effect or a new. Maybe a CGI isn't the proper term, but like it's definitely a new special effects technique that they're using, and it's definitely different. And to me, it like popped out right away, and I was like, "Wow, that's different." And I just didn't know if it was like just something that was off-putting because it was weird, or if it was because it was so new that like, but then it'll become like just normal.
I don't think I noticed it, to be honest with you. I'm fixated on the de-aging stuff, which I'm always curious to see how it's progressing, and I thought the scene when the character was shown younger was really well done.
No, I thought I thought that was awesome. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about like when they were like running in the tunnel, and then like most of Spidey's like action sequences. I thought you could really tell.
I don't even know if I remember now. I mean, I come from the school of thought that the Spider-Man movies always looked fake, so if it had anything to do with his movements, they could only have improved from there. But yeah, to the fact that I'm not sure what you're talking about means I might have missed it.
Which, by the way, he stole the show for me. Like I'm finally excited for a Spider-Man franchise.
Well, he stole the show, and probably along with Black Panther should have been allowed to run with the show. But we had like 15 other characters to shoehorn in and motivate, and again, a two-parter would have been like, or at least some prequels would have been totally awesome. Black Panther and Spider-Man introduced against the background of the impetus for the Civil War would have been kind of kick-ass.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on, I guess, to the news extravaganza,
Yeah, let's do it.
and let's talk about big. I'll kick this one off. Let's just ease into it. Donkey Kong. We all know, a couple people. Well, you guys know better than I, but we know a few people that hold some, world records in arcade gaming.
Yes, sir.
And it appears that the Donkey Kong record recently was broken again. A guy by the name of Wes Copeland, who I guess has held that title before, broke it again recently over a span of 3 hours and 17 minutes. And people are thinking that it's not going to ever be beaten again because it was like deemed a perfect score. The score was 1,218,000 even, and he didn't lose a single Mario during the whole 3 hours and 17 minutes. So that is big news. I don't know if what was his name? The guy from King of Kong, Billy Mitchell?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if Billy Mitchell will be able to top that, but that's where the current record stands.
Cam, I mean, what's the record?
1,218,000.
That's the number of hot sauce bottles and wings that Billy Mitchell sells daily, so he doesn't care about that anymore.
I'm sure. Tom, I think you're going to be pretty upset about this. I'm sure you already heard about it, but
This is heartbreaking.
yeah, in case you're a fanboy and haven't heard about it, Disney Infinity has shut down their Avalanche Software game developing arm. So no more Disney Infinity, no more of all that good stuff.
That sucks. I mean, that really sucks.
Yeah. I guess they lost a bunch of money and they just didn't deem it profitable going forward, so they just dropped it.
Hopefully, Open Infinity will carry the project forward with some open source alternative that Disney will then sue out of existence.
Yeah, right. Well, we don't want to do it, but no one else can either. So.
Right.
It's kind of bizarre to me how Disney does not make games. Like, they do not make first-party games.
Yeah.
That feels wrong.
Yeah. The quote I read was the console business has changed, which I take to mean the console business has shrunk, such that your investors are expecting you to pull in so much, and by virtue of the fact that the overall console sales are not what they used to be, you can't. So that's seen as an underperforming division. That's just my hunch. I have nothing to back that up.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get out of gaming altogether. It just seems like that they're getting out of console gaming because maybe they're just seeing that, okay, look, it's a dead media going forward. We're going to have to move to...
Well, they closed the studio, didn't they?
Yeah.
They closed the studio, but I think that studio was pretty much dedicated to just developing console games, and the Infinity little guys and all that stuff. So maybe they've got a whole... and I don't know this. I'm just speculating. Maybe they have plans to go into other areas, or maybe they're just like, forget it. We'll just focus on jacking people when they come to our parks.
Our money pits. By Infinity little guys, you mean Infinity Toys to Life figurines, Cam? I think
yes.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
I think you mean amiibos.
Yeah, so let's see what happens. Who knows? I wouldn't count Disney out of anything. I mean, they have their finger in so many different pots. I mean, they may just, down the road, if a new technology arises or a new, things are going in a certain direction, there's nothing stopping them from just buying a new company. You know what I mean? That's already in that area or whatever. All right. So speaking of big, faceless, nameless, jerky corporations, Apple is quietly deleting songs from people's hard drives. And it's not even songs that you've gotten from torrent sites. It's actually going in, and anything that you haven't gotten from iTunes or one of their deemed okay sources, they're deleting from the cloud and from your hard drive. This guy, what the hell was his name? Um, James Pinkstone. This guy had like ripped thousands and thousands of CDs onto his hard drive. CDs that he, I mean, assuming purchased, for hard-earned money. That they're his CDs. You can rip songs off CDs as long as you're not like sharing them with other people. You know what I mean? You're just It's like you're just transferring it to a different mode of media. So he ripped all these CDs, and then he went to look on his hard drive, and all of them were gone because
Really?
iTunes just got rid of all his. And then Apple came out and didn't even apologize. Not only did they not apologize, but they said the software is functioning as intended, is the direct quote.
That seems. Damn. Is that legal? No, I'm not asking for legal advice, but just in your layman's opinion.
I mean, I don't know enough to speak intelligently on the legal ramifications of it, but I mean, it just seems from just the smell test. Lawyers always talk about the smell test when they are trying to bullshit an answer, so that's what I'm doing. But just the smell test to me seems pretty off. I mean, you can't. I mean, if he bought CDs, paid for that media, and then ripped it, I've transferred that media. Rip is kind of a negative connotation, but took those songs off the CDs and put them onto a computer so that he could listen. Because I mean, let's face it, no one's walking around with a Sony Discman anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, no one is even walking around with an iPod. You have like, your phone basically. So if he's putting it, if he's on Apple's network or on the iCloud, and he wants to store his music that he's purchased legally, I don't see why they would delete it from their cloud. The only reason they would do that is not for a legal reason, but because they want you to buy it from them again, which is shitty.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to understand what the implied contract is between me, the consumer, and Apple. Like, I'm giving you my files, you're going to hold them for me. Well, we're only going to hold files we like. Oh. Yeah. I mean, I guess probably in the gigantic thing you don't read when you agree to sign up, they have the right to do that, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that the TOS like absolves them of everything. But here's the even bigger kicker, is that not only did it delete the songs that he had purchased, from CDs. Okay, maybe I can sort of understand that. If I'm really like a big corporate shill, I can sort of get behind that. But it also deleted a bunch of his original material that like he composed and recorded himself. So so if I like record a song and put it on there and iTunes doesn't like it, they just delete it. I can't listen to it on my fucking phone.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
They're checking it against some kind of a whitelist, of approved songs, and if it's not on there, because of the TOS they said they could, they're just blowing it away. What a bunch of dicks.
That's horseshit.
Yeah.
I hate to be this guy, but who the fuck uses iTunes?
That's a fair point.
Yeah. I mean, way more people than you'd think, because we've talked about it before. People would rather just pay the 99 cents, but...
I mean, I don't even mind that, but iTunes is just horrible software.
Oh, it absolutely is. But I mean, what else are you going to use if you have an iPhone?
Well, yeah, I guess that's the...
I mean, unless you're going to jailbreak it and,
The Walkman. Yeah. I guess I don't really want iTunes to be my file manager. I want it to be the thing that I buy and play music through, and that's it. That's kind of sucky.
Yeah, you should be able to have like your own app on your phone that just uses the music. I mean, okay, fine. You want me to buy the media through iTunes? I guess I can sort of be okay with that, but as long as you're not gouging me. But then I want control over what I do with the media that I've purchased or I've composed. You know what I mean?
You could do it on Android. You can have any other application you want.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. iPod, Apple. The people will always love Apple, especially hipsters. And speaking of hipsters, they are rejoicing today because apparently a new tattoo ink has come out that disappears in a year.
Oh Lord.
And can be removed on demand.
Oh.
So
Lord.
when you go get that like mustache in 6 months you realize it was a big horrible mistake, it's not that big of a deal because it'll either just disappear in a year or you can just go and get it removed right away. You don't have to go through like 10 successive painful removal treatments or whatever. It's just gone.
I'm I'm really curious how this plays out. I don't ever talk about this, but I kind of dig tattoos.
Mm.
I'm sort of a fan, and a couple of years ago, probably about 10 years ago now, they came out with something similar, and it was an ink that would just burn off like under the right laser, like just gone. One laser treatment, gone forever. You can redo it, and it flopped horribly because no tattoo artist will use it. Because fuck you if you want to take it off in a year. This is art. It's forever. You don't deserve a tattoo.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, is that's the biggest barrier to the market, is the tattoo artists not wanting to use that. Which, I mean, I guess I get it, but at the same time, like, dude, this is such a disposable society. I mean, like, why not tattoos? Like, I mean, I don't have any tattoos, so I don't want to speak for the community. I mean, and I don't know about tattoos. I'm not into tattoos. I like tattoos. I think they're cool. I think, if you want something on your body, go ahead and get it. But I don't know. Like, if I don't want to have it on my body anymore, why should I be stuck with it?
I wonder if this one will take.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, if Brian, like, if you're pretty artsy, and I like the stuff you make, and if you made me something like, like a wallet or something to put on my wall or whatever, and I put it on my wall, but then like in a year I was like, well, I want to put something else on there. Like, would you be like upset, or I wanted to like use a different wallet? Like, would you be pissed off? Like, I don't get that. Like,
I mean, I guess it's a little bit different because you're deleting their art. There's no other copy of it, so it's not necessarily just taking it down.
Pictures, like there's prints. I mean, you know what I mean? Like
the Flash stuff. Yeah, I mean, I can see an artist being like, yeah, I'll do Flash in the removable ink, but like, I'm not going to do an original piece. I'm not going to do my art on your body so that you can let it fade away in a year because you're a douchey hipster.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're just going to go get, like, what most people do, they just go in and open up the book and be like, I want B17. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you're just going to go do that. Why? What do they care?
Yeah,
it's just a stencil anyway.
That's the stuff. That's Flash. They should just call. They should call this Flash ink. And they should call it Flash in the Pan ink. And God, it's really not my place to judge, but if you are going to have your body marked, think about it. Think about what you want to say with your tattoos. I mean, don't get something trendy. If you see 5,000 other people doing it, think of something new. I mean, good God.
Even if you do think of something new, like, maybe you don't want that anymore later. I mean, piercings and tattoos go hand in hand, right? They're typically at the same shops, right? You can go get a piercing and a tattoo. I mean, most piercings like have to come out in like 3 to 6 months anyway. A lot of them, a lot of like the dermal, the ones that are like not like your ear or your nose or whatever, but like a lot of them you can only have temporarily anyway. It's like, I don't know why there's a difference.
I mean, people who get tattoos that they want to, I don't know, people who get tattoos and think it through are standing by their decision. And it's just one thing where you can separate the wheat from the chaff in terms of people who actually have like some integrity. Like, this means something to me. This is why I got it. I'm happy to wear it the rest of my life. This is a Red Hot Chili Peppers asterisk sign I got in 1998. I'm an idiot. Like, it lets you identify like trendy idiots right away, and I like that. I don't want it to go away.
I like the idea that there is a community that is I guess proud is the word, proud enough to make it difficult to come in. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm usually all about inclusion, but
yeah, Brian, I think
I get what you're saying.
I think you're going to see resistance from people who respect the craft. Like, sorry, dude, I'm not. I mean, my work's here to stay. So
I'm totally serious. That was like magic ink. Like, they could just remove it completely, like almost no trace, and everybody was just like, no, I'm not inking you with that. Forget it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing. I mean, how many like 18-year-olds have like gone in and gotten just like terrible tattoos?
Did you?
No.
Did you, Brian?
No.
Because I didn't, so I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but it's just like, we grew up in a little bit of a different time, I think. Like, tattoos were way more frowned upon. I think if they were less frowned upon, I might have. So I don't want to just exclude myself out of hand on that, but like, you know, I don't know. If you're 18 years old, it's your 18th birthday, you're really into something, and you know, you go and get that rose tattoo on your breast or something. Like, you don't want that there for the rest of your life.
I mean, I was with a bunch of 18-year-olds who had joined the Air Force, who went and got Air Force tattoos. A lot of them didn't actually serve their full enlistment. I mean,
They bailed.
yes. I mean, how ill thought out was that? You know, just saying.
Yeah.
Whatever,
Yeah.
man. I'm being a super judgy old fart.
No worries, no worries. And PayPal. This is my final story here, and then we'll get on to the show. But PayPal is no longer going to refund Kickstarters that don't get fulfilled. I guess like previously, if you crowdfunded something and they failed to deliver on their goals, you could basically like treat it like as a chargeback. Like,
Wow.
Like on your credit card, and people could use the PayPal whatever refund service and get their money back. Now they're saying, listen, if you want to, if you want to fund something on Kickstarter, that's fine, but we're not gonna, we're not gonna basically bail you out.
I mean, that seems fair to me. Like, I don't see why that's. Never mind. We'll get into another debate or discussion about crowdfunding.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you're voting, you're taking a risk with your money when you crowdfund. So
Exactly, and I mean, it's I thought it would be higher, but it's only about 8% of the money that on Kickstarter and basically goes unfulfilled, which seems, I don't know. I thought it was higher. I thought it would be higher, but then when I think about it, it seems kind of high. Like I would like to see that number under 5%. I guess maybe that's just an arbitrary number in my head, but
I think it's also much higher in certain categories like gaming and miniatures and things like that. So we see probably disproportional.
Yeah.
what's the percentage,
failure.
Ken?
8%.
I mean, okay, so 8%, let's just say total failure, they don't deliver. I mean, how many bad actors are on Kickstarter versus people who are inept or incapable, like, who can't deliver? I don't think a lot of people set out.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Out of that 8%, how many people are actual scammers?
Right.
That's true.
Right.
Probably a low number, but well, so just don't count on PayPal to bail you out. And that rounds out my news extravaganza.
Awesome, man. Thanks. I'll go on record as saying the guy who was saying that he could make a what was the first Star Wars movie called? Episode 1. Remember the Phantom Menace. Remember the rebreather they popped in their mouths before that ill-fated rendezvous?
Oh, the breather.
Yeah, some imbecile.
I forget what that was called.
There's a Kickstarter out there for one of those, and that is like just physically impossible. So, like, you should know like reality before you throw your money behind something like that.
Yeah.
And anyway.
And just as a segue, I was role-playing through that whole news extravaganza as Kent Brockman.
Nice. I was role-playing as a opinionated old fuddy-dud. If you kids,
You're a comic book guy.
Whatever tattoos you kids want. I'm not resentful that I didn't get invited to parties as a teenager. Anyway, speaking of reality, let's get away from it. Let's get into not virtual reality, but well, I guess it is a virtual reality in the theater of the mind. And we refer, of course, to the reality generated during a role-playing session or series of sessions or campaign, what have you. And I was thinking about this lately, especially in the wake of our recent role-playing session. In the game we played, we were invited to be ourselves in the scenario. And I think we probably all took some license with our ability and still had advantage of sort of the omniscience, of playing a role-playing game versus being in the situation.
Right.
But none of us were elves or dragons or we weren't creatures possessed of amazing abilities. We were just us in the scenario, and that really got me thinking. When you're in a more fantastic scenario, when you're in a sci-fi setting, when you're in a fantasy setting, is it better? Is the gaming experience better served by you really playing the character you've drawn up and like sticking to that character's principles and doing what that character would do, or by you basically playing the way you would if you had elf ears. If you were you were dressed as that character. I think most people probably move back and forth between the two modes, but I want to kind of touch on the two modes and maybe whether one's always superior or sometimes the situation calls for one versus the other, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think?
I'll let Brian tackle this one.
So, oh wow, I, believe it or not, kind of learned this from video games because I hated voice acting when it kind of became big. Like, I did not like being removed from the action. Like, it was no longer how I interpreted it or how I thought they were acting or little bits and pieces of me on the characters. It was actually someone else's interpretation, and it was a lot harder for me to kind of care. And that kind of opened my eyes towards how I had approached role-playing game characters, like pen and paper characters, when other people didn't do that. Like, some people think I'm Drizzt, I'm Gandalf, and they just act like Gandalf, and they just act like Drizzt, and they don't want to act, they don't want to roleplay, they want to kill orcs. And I never got it. I never understood that, because I don't know, there's almost like better ways to kill orcs than pen and paper. Like, that's what video games are for.
Yeah, I also lamented the introduction of voices in my role-playing video games, and yeah, because it took away your interpretation. And yeah, the people who play an RPG, a tabletop RPG, just for the mechanical satisfaction of slaughtering vast hordes of orcs and like the power gaming, I don't get that. For me, like, it's, if we never roll dice, if we never put figurines down and calculate initiative, like, the actual character interaction is way more appealing to me than the mechanics and the triumphing over enemies.
I seriously, I don't think I remember, and I mean, I've been playing, let me do the math here, 27 years I've been pen and paper. I don't think I ever remember a fight. That's not true. I got incredibly stupid lucky once. Like, I do remember one dragon fight, but it's not ever about like the rolling or that character was super strong or that character was super pious. It was always about like the acting that you did together. Like,
yeah, I mean, Brian, do you remember the campaign we had in high school that we never finished? Do you remember like the
with Papa Smurf?
Yes.
I've been thinking about that all week.
Like, we had, I don't know, I mean, that's more memorable to me. Yes, there are some awesome, like, things that happen due to chance during battles, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, for me, it's the storytelling that's way more interesting. What do you think, Cam? I mean, considering that the game we played was all storytelling, we didn't do battle once.
I like a mix. I mean, I come down on the storytelling side just because I like that sort of thing. I mean, I feel like, because I'm such a board gamer, I can get that fix of dice rolling and rules lawyering and all that stuff from a tabletop game, just a board game. I like RPGs because that just sort of takes you out of that rule setting. I mean, obviously you have like the basic rule structure of whatever system you're using and whatever the DM sort of is dictating to you, but I don't want to, have to do a dex check every time I take a step. You know what I mean? Or every little thing that I do. I've got to opening a door. Okay, well, I've got to do a spell check, and then I've got to do a strength check, and
Yes.
I've got to do you know what I mean? I've got to do a stealth check, and no, like I just want to I don't like a herky jerky story. I like sort of like getting like you sort of tell the story and then when you get to certain critical points, then then you roll your dice and good or bad things happen. But I don't want to have to do it every freaking 2 minutes.
Yeah, the mechanics can definitely bog things down. And to Brian's point, there's a gaming format that smooths those mechanics out and makes them so efficient that they go by in milliseconds. It's called the video game role-playing game. I mean, it'll do all that for you.
Exactly. Some people just like to chuck dice.
Yeah, I made the mistake last week of saying that like people should just open successful businesses when people really wanted to run like their passion of a business whose time has died. And I guess I'm kind of doing the same thing this week. Like some people just want to role play even though it's not the best mechanic for what they want to do. Like I know a lot of people who just have a ton of fun like beating the shit out of monsters. MMOs are fantastic for that. Like, video games are fantastic for that. You can do so much more with an actual pen and paper. Like, there are things you cannot do in an MMO. You cannot do in a role-playing, in a video role-playing game that pen and paper lets you do. Why wouldn't you take advantage of it?
Yeah, I don't understand, and I know who the type of person you're talking about is chomping at the bit to get into the fight, and then when you start the combat, they're like, yeah, like.
There's nothing wrong with this style of play, so I don't want to sound like I'm picking on anybody, but when the Edge of the Galaxy Star Wars stuff came out, we were in a encounter and. Like, we were talking to somebody, trying to, like, smooth things over, and one of our players just walked up and shot somebody in the face, and we were all like, what the fuck, dude? We had rolled initiative. That means combat started.
Oh, that's right. I remember
what?
that.
I had to shoot somebody. It was my turn. What?
Yeah, the GM at the time, I remember this story being related. The GM at the time rolled initiative for the GM's own purposes, but combat had not begun. It had not been announced they were fighting. The GM just wanted initiative so that
murdered a bystander.
This person heard the word initiative and went into like fucking RoboCop kill mode, like must fight.
And he's not wrong. I mean, you can do that, sure, but. I've never seen anybody so blatantly murder an innocent in my life. Like, you're at the bar, fuck you.
Okay. So Brian, this is a perfect.
Now.
Brian, this individual's style of play and the sort of power combat gamer in general is a perfect example, I would think, of you're wearing the costume. Like it's you if you were like in the scenario, you would start the fight.
Yeah.
I doubt there's.
It's not role playing. It's you being there.
Right. And I doubt there was anything in that person's character sheet trait-wise that said like murderer or psychopath. They just were like, I'm gonna kill him. So I'm not sure. Well, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. I think the play to your character as described in the character sheet might work better for people who prefer story. Like, oh, my character doesn't like, reptilian creatures, so would naturally attack these lizard men. Like, makes for a more interesting scenario than, I'm bored, kill him. Or a more predictable scenario, or a scenario that makes some kind of narrative sense, I guess.
I would agree with that, for sure.
An interesting product of that encounter along these lines is it's surprisingly easy to kill somebody with a laser rifle. Star Wars kind of discourages combat. Like, sure, you can, open up or whatever, but like 3 of us died. Just, you weren't really supposed to fight those guys. You're all dead. And I don't know. I think it's a lesson. And again, that guy wasn't wrong. He just really had never played that system before and didn't understand that we weren't like godlike characters and that like stormtroopers in armor with real rifles are kind of threatening. Yeah. Some systems aren't good for that.
Okay, so getting a little into character, I think, is we're agreeing is beneficial. I don't know if I want to necessarily prescribe a correct way to roleplay, but we at the Nerdstravaganza seem to endorse a level of playing your character as opposed to playing yourself injected into the narrative.
It was Ken Hite, right, that said, "Don't play with dicks."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
That guy wasn't a dick. He was just different than me. So we probably shouldn't have played together, but he would have had a much better time, like, playing with somebody his style. He probably thought I was an asshole for trying to talk to people, you know? Like, a lot of it's your system, but a lot of it's your players, too.
Good point. And you know, I don't think that... Yeah, it's not necessarily... That person may not have been a dick, but I think... I'm saying yourself in this situation, but what I really mean is playing some overcompensation or for who you really are, or some overly idealized version of yourself in the in the game setting. Could lead to dickish behavior. Like, well, I don't amount to much in the outside world, but I will definitely critically hit and destroy the boss monster, therefore making me the best guy in the room. The role-playing table is not the venue to exercise your shortcomings. Exorcise, not exercise. Well, actually, either. It's the venue for neither of those activities. Okay, but I think we had a final word there, and I think that was kind of what I was kind of aiming for. To get your view. I'm not at all surprised that you guys came down on that side. Let me just ask this: would your perspective change if it was based in like modern day, but there was magic, or modern day, but there were superheroes? In other words, a contemporary setting. Is it more acceptable to just be you in the contemporary setting? You're not in like medieval, some analog of medieval Europe, or you're not in the future. It's based in New York today, and there's like superheroes and villains running around.
I'm feeling judgmental tonight. I don't know why, but whether it's okay or not, why would you want to, man? Like, I understand. What was it called? End of the World.
Yeah.
End of the World is about being you and surviving this fantasy scenario and everything, and that's fine. But like, most games, like, why would you want to be you? You could be anybody. You could be anything. Why would you want to be any kind of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, even in like games like Shadowrun, which is basically D&D just in the future, like you're still someone else. You know what I mean? You're not just like Cam with a future plasma rifle or whatever. And that's again like goes back to sort of what I was saying about the storytelling. Like I like that you can sort of step out of yourself and be someone different. But I did like the End of the World scenario too, because it was sort of like we had it was us, but it was like sort of us, how the rest of the group saw us as well, and then how the DM saw us also, because he was sort of the one that was deciding things in terms of what we could and couldn't do, or what our die rolls were going to be and stuff like that. So I mean, I get the one-off sort of thing being yourself, because that's kind of fun, just thinking about, okay, what would we as a group do in a certain scenario. But like for an ongoing game, I would definitely want to like sort of step out of myself, because that's the whole reason you play games, is to get out of your own head, or I do anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I play games to be an Amazon warrior princess. That's my dream, and that's what I'm gonna be.
Yeah, you're sticking to it.
Anyway, spent a lot of time during the going over some news and Weekly Geekly, so I think this could be a short and sweet discussion of the topic. Anything else you guys want to add? I think we all agree. Maybe taking the role-playing aspect of role-playing seriously might enhance your enjoyment as well as the enjoyment of others.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what you guys are sort of seeing in terms of uh, relation to the, I guess, the explosion of board gaming over the past 5-10 years, and the, I guess, expansion of RPGs. Do you think RPGs have expanded at a similar rate, like a greater rate, a similar rate, or a lower rate than just standard board gaming?
I would say a lower rate. Definitely expanded, but not comparable to like this kind of like boom that games are in.
Yeah, I think that the overall tabletop scene, there's been some cross pollination, such that you probably see an expansion in RPGs, or people being a little more adventurous and developing new RPGs. I'd love to have Brian on to actually come up with come up with a correlation, but uh, I think yeah, the role playing games almost just necessarily will grow a little more slowly because I don't think theater of the mind
There's
appeals to
much higher buy-in.
yeah, and this just only further underscores what Brian said, which is that there are plenty of alternatives if you just want to be the best, if you just want to be competitive, if you just want to win. Like if video games aren't your thing, there's tons of tabletop stuff out there that's all
Descent
about.
is a great game for that. Descent tabletop, you're this character, you have these stats, beat up on orcs.
Yeah,
And it's a lot of fun. It's great. I love that game.
Yeah.
and there you have it.
Yeah, I mean, or you could just play Magic. um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people who I would really never have thought would be into RPGs start to get into RPGs lately. And I'm wondering, I think we've talked about this before, sort of, it's similar to the explosion in board gaming. I think the disconnect that is bred by technology, the whole whatever, we're all, so connected, but we're disconnected at the same time, sort of, whatever thing. But I think the disconnect that is bred by video gaming and all the other sort of things that are available as nowadays as entertainment, I think is really pushed, of course board games, but I think RPGs as well into the forefront a lot more, because it's, I mean, at its heart, what is an RPG? It's you and a bunch of friends sitting around just telling stories with each other, and what's more primal than that? I mean, that's how like uh, history was passed down for thousands, hundreds of years, way back in the Stone Ages or whatever. And it's funny, I don't know, it's just funny to me to see sort of a movement back to that sort of thing, away from technology. Because really all you need is you don't even need a book, really. I mean, you just need someone to sort of run the story, and a pen and a paper, or a pencil and a piece of paper, and maybe a die.
You could really do that with just nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, you could just sit around with your friends and have a few drinks or have some food and just.
That might be a really fun like lights off night, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, but the graphics suck. Let's not forget that.
8-bit.
The resolution of my mind really sucks.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the processor. Anyway. Yeah, I thought this was actually that last little addendum made this kind of a full treatment of the topic, and thank you for motivating that, Cam. That was fun.
Oh, no problem.
And with that, I'll discuss anything else, guys, before we sort of let our audience get back to their role playing.
I think that's it.
All right. Well, with that said, I say with that said a lot. I need to come up with a new. Well, with that encounter complete, I will remind our listeners that they can put themselves in the role of listener, loyal listener, favored listener, blessed listener, week after week, by checking us out on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play Music. We appreciate your positive reviews and ratings, and appreciate your negative reviews and ratings slightly less.
Charisma check to join us on Facebook, like us on Twitter and Instagram. I'm forgetting one. Damn, I always do that. Google Plus. Add us to your Google Plus, or don't. No one uses it. And join the Nerdstravaganza HQ group on Facebook.
Take the initiative and head on over to nerdstravaganza.com to check out this and all of our back episodes. It's a brand new, shiny website. We just put it up for you guys. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Roll a crit on over to YouTube and check out this and all of our other video content. And send us an email at nerdstravaganza@gmail.com and let us know what characters you like to play.
And with the next encounter over, Brian, Owlbear Brian, take us away.
I don't know what noise owlbears make.
I think it's like an owl growl.
Woo, woo.
That's just an owl sound. You have to like make a.
Woo. No, that's even worse.
That was good. That was good. That was good. Woo. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. Please come back.
Take care, guys.